Hello learners, welcome to EduRev. Have you heard of Harappan seals ever? The figure you are looking at on the screen currently is a Harappan seal. Thousands of such seals have been discovered by archaeologists from the Harappan sites. Most of the seals were made from steatite, which is a kind of a soft stone. Now, let's begin our chapter and explore what we know about the Harappan civilization in terms of bricks, beads, and bones. Let's see how everything begins. The beginnings. Prior to the mature Harappan, the region was home to a number of archaeological cultures. These cultures were connected with distinctive pottery, agriculture and pastoral activity, and certain crafts. Settlements were mainly small and there were no large buildings. Now we will look into the subsistence strategies of the Harappans. If you look at maps 1 and 2, you will notice that the mature Harappan culture developed in some of the areas occupied by the early Harappan cultures. These cultures also shared some common elements including subsistence strategies. The Harappans ate a wide range of plant and animal products. Animal bones found at Harappan sites include those of cattle, sheep, goat, buffalo, and pig. The bones of wild species found suggest the Harappans hunted these animals themselves or obtained meat from other hunting communities. Bones of fish and fowl are also found. An important point is that we do not know whether the Harappans hunted these animals themselves or obtained meat from other hunting communities. Now let's discuss the agricultural technologies. While grain findings in Harappa suggest the existence of agriculture, reconstructing real agriculture activities is more difficult. Representations on seals and terracotta sculpture indicate that a bull was known, and archaeologists extrapolate from this that oxen were used for plowing. Terracotta models of the plow have also been found at sites in Kolistan and at Banavali. Evidence of a plowed field at Kalibangan has also been found. Traces of irrigation canals have been found at Shortugahi in Afghanistan. Traces of rainwater harvesting have been found in Dholavira in Gujarat to water reservoirs. Archaeologists have also tried to identify the tools used for harvesting. They may have used wooden handles or metal tools according to the archaeologists. Most Harappan sites are located in semi-arid lands where irrigation was probably required for agriculture, and according to archaeological analysis, they may use water from canals, wells, and reservoirs, such as they found in Dholavira. Let's now talk about Mohenjo-daro, which was a planned urban city. The establishment of urban centers was the most unique feature of the Harappan culture. Let us look at one such center, which is Mohenjo-daro, more closely. The settlement is divided into two sections, one smaller but higher, and the other much larger but lower. Archaeologists designate these as the citadel and the lower town respectively. The citadel owes its height to the fact that buildings were constructed on mud brick platforms. It was walled, which means it was physically separated from the lower town. The lower town was also walled. Several buildings were built on platforms which served as foundations. Once the platforms were in place, all building activity within the city were restricted to a fixed area on the platforms. So it seems that the settlement were first planned and then implemented accordingly. Other signs of planning include bricks, which whether sun-dried or baked were of a standardized ratio, where the length and breadth were 4 times and twice the height respectively. Such bricks were used at all Harappan settlements. Let's now discuss the laying out of the drains. One of the most distinctive features of the Harappan cities was the carefully planned drainage system. In the plan of the lower town, you will notice that roads and streets were laid out along an approximate grid pattern intersecting at right angles. It seems that streets with drains were laid out first and then houses built along them. If domestic wastewater had to flow into the street drains, every house needed to have at least one wall along a street. Let's now discuss the domestic architecture. The lower town at Mohenjo-daro provides examples of residential buildings. Many were centered on a courtyard with rooms on all the sides. The courtyard was probably the center of activities such as cooking and weaving, particularly during hot and dry weather. What is also interesting is an apparent concern for privacy. There are no windows in the walls along the ground level. Besides, the main entrance does not give a direct view of the interior or the courtyard. Every house had its own bathroom, paved with bricks, with drains connected through the walls to the street drains. Some houses have remains of staircases to reach a second story or the roof. Many houses had wells, often in a room that could be reached from the outside and perhaps used by the passers-by. Scholars have estimated that the total number of wells in Mohenjo-daro was about 700. The Citadel. The citadel contains traces of constructions that were most likely used for special public purposes. These include the warehouse, which was a massive structure of which the lower brick portion remains, while the upper portion probably of wood decade long ago, and the Great Bath. Let's now discuss the Great Bath. The Great Bath was a large rectangular tank in a courtyard surrounded by a corridor on all four sides. There were two flights of steps on the north and south leading into the tank, which was made watertight by settling bricks on the edge and using a mortar of gypsum. There were rooms on the three sides, in one of which was a large well. Water from the tank flowed into a huge drain. Across a lane to the north lay a smaller building with 8 bathrooms, 4 on each side of a corridor, with drains from each bathroom connected to a drain that ran along the corridor. The uniqueness of the structure as well as the context in which it was found, that is the citadel with distinctive buildings, had led scholars to suggest that it was meant for some special ritual path. So that's all for now. We will be back with the second part of this video. Till then, you can revise your concepts from the documents and practice online tests from the EduRev app for better learning. Thank you.